We're going to talk about the past week in wrestling TV. Indeed, starting off with WWE Monday Night Raw from this past Monday night. Now, this Raw filled with excellent competitive matches, and I certainly felt it stood all out above the recent weeks of TV. Of course, starting with that promo with Cena, Barrett, The Miz and Riley, and those guys were arguing over who would captain the Team Raw, and of course excellent triple threat possibilities there. When I saw those three guys in the ring, I really felt good for Barrett and The Miz. Now of course Cena has been hanging around that mid card to get these guys over, but also he was put in the championship match early on in the show, which in a way for me kind of gave it away.
Yeah, they've made it really messy, I think, this whole Cena involvement. From a lot of, they just, I don't know, they've handled it completely arseways, I think. They really have. I thought they might have pulled it back a little bit or given in a little bit this week, but they didn't. And I don't know.
He was just too babyface, wasn't he?
Yeah, what's the point in doing it? I mean, there's no real difference. He's still coming out to the Cena music. He's still getting popped to bits, and he's still playing up the babyface deal.
Yeah, the heel turn didn't come about, and very disappointing. He is exactly the same. He's still smiling like he would, and of course fighting Barrett in a way silently behind his back at the end of Raw this week, and indeed it looks like they're going to just do that week on week. Now it's bragging rights coming up soon, and indeed we've got a triple threat, which of course is going to feature Barrett, Orton and Cena. Now I did question, like I said, why they mentioned Cena could be in the Team Raw when they were continually saying he was going to be in the championship match. But like I say, that was where Cena has kind of been just these past few weeks, and indeed that's probably where he's going to be for a while more, with you know, I think very unlikely possibilities that he's going to take that belt off Orton. Yeah,
I think it'll be definitely Orton, Cena, Barrett in some sort of rigmarole for the next couple of months, even after bragging rights, with Cena's involvement with the Nexus and being under Wade's power, if that's how you'd like to put it. But yeah, for bragging rights, Barrett and Orton, I can see Cena coming into play big time, and maybe Orton to retain still, and Barrett to continue with Cena.
Indeed, and also on Raw this past Monday, another thing that stood out to me was Ted DiBiase, and indeed where he is in the programming now. Of course, he's with Goldust for a program that kind of began a few weeks ago, and I'm very positive about this one. I've always been a fan of the Goldust character, and I think him paired up with Ted DiBiase, a good mix. Of course, back in the early days, you had Dustin Rhodes in a feud with Ted DiBiase Sr., of course Dusty involved in that as well, so some good continuity there, and I think to see them work together is going to be, I think, quite good. But it's something for Ted DiBiase, and indeed where has he been? He's not had anything major for too long.
Yeah, I'm happy for Goldust to be back on screen. I think he's great, and he should be and should have been used a lot more often. I do hope for his own sake he's not just getting some TV time because of this book that he's got coming out, because it sucks when they do that shit. They just bring him back, fuck him on, sell the books, take him off, and you know, it's, I mean, him and Regal I think definitely should be on Raw a lot more, and Regal in a kind of a wrestling capacity as well as everything else, some commentary time, maybe some mic time, even give him a management position, old school. Just get him on there, because he's it's a waste not having him around. But for Goldust, I'm glad to see him back, and no better person than DiBiase, I think, to mix it up a bit.
Maybe Ted is going to face the same problem that his father faced, who of course never got the world title. Now, $1 Million Man as a world champion would have been great. Perhaps he bought it at some point and it was taken off him, but it was never official. And I hope that they don't view Ted DiBiase Jr. in the same light. I think he could be much further up the card by now, and I wonder why he isn't, and perhaps why he would be chosen at least last to get some kind of push. That's what it feels like, because I rated him a lot higher than I think he's being rated right now. But this week taking on R-Truth, and again a few weeks ago it looked like that was going to be his program going forward. But I think at the moment Truth a bit busier learning acting skills with Cena.
Yeah, he's those bloody promos backstage with Cena definitely are quite funny, actually. Yeah, I like that, actually, but I mean, I like it probably because it's so bad at the same time. But R-Truth and Eve, that whole dancing segment was awful in every capacity. I mean, especially her dancing. Good Jesus, I don't know where that was coming from, but I think they need to keep on top of DiBiase. They've let it slip a little bit. I think we need some reminders, just like they're doing perfectly with Cody Rhodes, that he is and has inherited a small fortune from the $1 Million Man, and we need to see him spend it, and we need to be reminded just why he has that belt. And I think we also need him to eventually rehash the old storyline and buy the heavyweight title off whoever has it at the time.
Yeah, I would like to see things like that happen, and of course he has the $1 Million belt. This is supposed to be a similar character, and of course famously Vince came up with that $1 Million Man character at the time that perhaps he wasn't prepared to go on TV. So with that in mind, you'd think that perhaps Vince had some faith in it, and that perhaps he would like to see something be done. You know, I can see Ted DiBiase Jr. paired up with the Big Show, and you've got $1 Million Man Andre.
Where was it that had that footage of DiBiase Senior saying that he was the luckiest guy in the world when he landed, when they told him his gimmick? Did you ever see this?
It was a shoot, wasn't it?
Was it a shoot?
There was an RF shoot, I think.
Yeah, maybe that was it. Yeah, but yeah, it's a funny one that. He said he was the luckiest guy in the world, and he had to live the gimmick. And they literally, while the rest of the boys were travelling in vans and whatnot, he was getting his limos to the arena and living up the gimmick at the airports and full throttle. So, yeah, I'm sure he was never complaining about that side of the business.
Yeah, that comes to memory when you say it, that he did actually live the gimmick in many ways, and he did get some extra perks. Now, never officially winning the WWE title, but I think quite well in with Vince, and I think favoured at the time, at least, being on top with Hogan and Andre. You're going to be somebody who they look after, and I agree that perhaps, you know, it was the gimmick but also the real life. And is it the case now for guys on the road? Often people say that perhaps a little bit different are these times in the backstage. But also we had Tyson Kidd taking on John Morrison, and noted before this match that David Hart Smith was supposed to be in it. It was meant to be a triple threat. It didn't happen. This made me think they're trailing a Hart Dynasty breakup. Now, we've speculated on this in recent weeks. Indeed, Drifter sort of talked about that on the pay-per-view last, where we had Hell in a Cell coverage here on Justin. And I have to say, it made me think that, yeah, it could be happening. They could be breaking them up.
Yeah, there's been a bit of friction, a bit of tension there. But what it means for the tag division is the question. A legit tag team that were good. They were actually a good tag team. I kind of enjoyed them, to be honest with you. But yeah, that tag division's taken a bit of a beating there the last couple of weeks, really, hasn't it?
Wow, you know, you know, Vance Archer and Kurt Hawkins, are they still going?
Haven't seen them on TV, unless it's Superstars or something.
And I believe they were the, you know, spearhead of the tag team division when they put those two guys together. They were hoping for big things. What kind of things, I don't know. But the Hart Dynasty, I think they could both do without those bronze belts.
Yeah, maybe solo Tyson Kidd would be. I think solo Tyson Kidd would be good, actually, even if he is babyface. I kind of like him.
Yes, and this week in the match with Morrison, of course, two baby faces in the ring, he performed exceptionally well, and even a bit of size as well that perhaps I didn't notice before, or maybe it was because he was beside David Hart Smith, who of course is twice the size. I never did notice how, you know, he could confidently be in the ring with Morrison and for it not to look like a size mismatch. But Tyson Kidd probably has a good future in the coming weeks. But of course the end result of that being that Morrison qualifying for bragging rights along with R-Truth. So those two guys straight in there.
Straight back in.
A fresh push as well for Santino, it seems, as there were massive pops when he came out this week, and he defeated Zack Ryder to get that long overdue bit of time. The Cobra was back on TV and everyone loved it.
Yeah, he's a good comedy spot, I suppose. He's keeping everybody happy. He must be a happy guy himself, because really he's not taking any serious bumps, and he doesn't really have to even try do anything fancy. Just have fun and pull out the Cobra at the end of it.
Now, I believe the Randy Orton Justin Gabriel match was quite good, purely on the basis that I felt like Orton sold for the guy. Now, I know Nexus is the biggest angle at present, and he really has to do everything he can to put those guys over. I think an admirable quality, really. He has been known to no sell in the past. I've seen Orton kind of, you know, not working or selling when The Miz threw punches at him, and indeed to do that for Gabriel was a good thing. I think these two guys again put on a great showing, and Orton, to be honest, I know I'm a mark, but he really did look heavyweight to me, and he looked like he had earned that spot, and you know, he looked a lot more of a veteran in contrast to Gabriel, and I think that's a good thing. Of course, he's not the oldest guy, he's still quite young.
Yeah, it was a good little match. Definitely had an old school feel to it, and the kind of newbie, still I suppose rookie Gabriel, but they did let him shine, and surprisingly a lot more than I thought they would have.
I also thought Gabriel was very believable in this, and he did so well to be in there toe to toe with Orton, going right up, I think, in my estimation. And yeah, he certainly is a guy that I think they should perhaps cut loose next.
Gabriel?
Yeah, let's get him out of Nexus and let's try him perhaps as that babyface he came in as.
I can see the team of Evan Bourne, Justin Gabriel, WWE Tag Team Champions.
That is probably a year's time.
That's probably what we're looking at.
We're going to see how long that takes. I might write that one down because I can see it already, and I can see those belts around their waist. Other things on this past Monday night's Raw: Sheamus and Daniel Bryan. Again, Daniel Bryan being buried. Now, at least this time he got a bit of competitive action, and it wasn't a total steamroller job. It was quite simple, but once again, Bryan loses.
Yeah, you'd wonder what's going on there. That's been he's definitely had a bit of a bashing since he's got the belt, hasn't he?
It seems wrong, but the bookers, they know apparently what they're doing.
Yeah, maybe they do. He must have stepped in somebody's shoes, I think.
It could quite possibly be like that. He was released quickly in the beginning, 90-day, no compete, and he was back. So maybe not the most well-behaved of workers in there. The other thing that stood out to me, of course, about Raw was the Miz versus Cena match at the end of the program. Now, I felt like after so many months of the Miz being on Raw, and thinking back to that original opening program where we had the Miz calling out Cena and basically trying to get him to come out for a match. Eventually he did, and he lost, but now look how far we've come. He's in there in the ring with him, and indeed, yeah, it certainly was a good thing. The Miz pinning Cena, and of course Michael McGillicuddy and Husky Harris getting involved.
Yeah, looks like we might have 2 new members of Nexus. I don't know if it's a spot that Husky would like to be in, but I'm sure McGillicuddy's probably just happy to be there.